6:37 now, Black History Month. It's a time to look back and remember.
And this morning we are learning about the contributions made by African Americans in the bourbon industry right here in Kentucky.
LEX 18's Claire Kopsky spoke to a local group about that group that's mission is to make sure that those stories aren't forgotten. She's got the story for us now. It's new on Sunrise.
Basically that entire history was all wiped out, with Jim Crow.
He's talking about the history of African Americans in the bourbon industry.
You'll see that the front line picture is always a lot of white men in suits and ties, but if you look behind them, there's nothing but African American men in overalls who were actually doing the work of the distillery. Nobody really knows what happened back then, and so now you're starting to see, like, bourbon historians will tell you, is like, if you go into the archives, you're starting to uncover all these things, and some of these brands don't even know they even had some of the stuff.
In the history books, brands are missing as well as people.
You think of like the old fashioned traditionally, like Tom Bullock, who's an African American bartender, technically created the old fashioned. The homegrown story is really, Freddie Johnson has really been the crutch of a lot of the African American bourbon history here within Kentucky, because he is a third generation distillery worker. Both of his father and his grandfather worked at Buffalo Trace and were very influential in helping products move along.
Borden, along with more than 100 members of the Kentucky Black Bourbon Guild, are working every day to ensure these stories are told. They're also focused on educating their members about the industry and the spirits themselves, as well as inspiring the next generation.
Now it's like, how do we create more Freddie Johnsons and tour guides? But then in addition, how do we create more chemists and more scientists that can actually go in and help actually make the whiskey? Because if you go in there on the back end of the products and how they're actually made in distillery workers, like, it's a very white culture. And it's like, how do we infuse, more African Americans, more Hispanic Americans? How do we also get more women involved in the bourbon industry?
With new distilleries owned by African Americans opening in Kentucky this year, the Guild sees progress and says they'll continue to educate their community one sip at a time. Now, the Kentucky Black Bourbon Guild is a relatively new group, as they were founded in 2018. Now, to learn more or to become a member, head over to KentuckyBlackBourbonGuild.com. Claire and Chris, back to you.